what I have here is the DeepCool Castle 360EX AIO. And as it says in the name, it's a 360 millimeter AIO. And the main reason why I bought it was this thing was dirt cheap. It was on sale for like 90 Canadian dollars, which probably works out to like 70 US. And that is pretty much the price of a mid-tier air cooler. You can't even get a Noctua dual tower AIO cooler for the price that this was on sale for. And something else I just noticed, I'm not sure if this was a recent thing or not, but Thermalright now has a 360 millimeter AIO cooler as well. So that might be something I'll have to buy and test out. Anyways, we are going to test this out in my Ryzen 9 7900X system. That way, if it can cool that or even come close to cooling that, then this can cool pretty much anything except probably a 13900K. Now, for a lot of people, this might not be what they want. However, if you're looking to save as much money as possible so you can put that money towards the components that really matter, like your GPU or better CPU or something like that, these are one of the options, is cutting back and going with a cheaper cooler, so you can allocate that money somewhere else. Now, I'll do my initial tests. We'll go through the installation and testing it out, and then I'll probably follow up in like 3 months time to see really how well has this held up over time. Hopefully it's not going to be a disaster like the MSI Mag Core Liquid 360R, where the V1 had issues with the coolant. I don't know if it was specifically with the coolant or if it was deteriorating different components inside. Anyways, it was clogging up the pump and things were overheating. So far, the V2 has done a pretty good job of holding up. I've had no complaints with it. I tested it out with my 7900X, and when we're talking like max load using Cinebench R23, it reached nearly 90 Celsius. So we'll see how this compares to that. Anyway, let's unbox it and see what we get. Alright, it's got like foam on the sides to keep it from bouncing around, and it's just pretty much in a general cardboard box, so not much else there. We got, so this is what, so that's what that looks like. So the radiator, all white. It's got a little valve here, so if too much pressure builds up or anything like that, it will allow that pressure to exhaust off. We got the head that goes on your CPU. It's all white. I forget, what does it look like on here? So the top, we'll look at it when it's installed, but it has the DeepCool logo on there. I'm not sure if it's addressable or anything like that, but we'll take a look and see. It does come pre-applied with thermal paste. You get 3, and the fans are RGB or ARGB, which I'm not too concerned with because these fans on my build are going to be in the back. No one's going to see them. They have little grooves. I'm assuming they do that to kind of cut down on some of the noise and possibly vibration, but we get 3 fans that look like that. Got nice rubber padding for where it's going to meet the case to cut down on the vibration channeling through the fans into the case. And it should come with all the hardware to install it. Okay, so we got okay, so we got the ARGB connector, we got the fan splitter. Okay, so you can plug it right into your motherboard, control it through your motherboard with the power supply side of things. You can use the remote that comes with it and plug it into your SATA power. It takes a lot of torque, but you're supposed to be able to just, if you want to adjust it the way the DeepCool screws on it, you should be able to just, there's something else. Oh, there we go, yeah. Okay, so that comes right off, and you can adjust. Well, it's supposed to be able to adjust. Why? Does it just pull out? I don't want to break it. Yeah, it's not coming out very easy. This DeepCool logo should be able to just pop off, but it's not coming out very simple. So that way you can align the DeepCool logo to go with whichever way this is going to be situated. And then yeah, it does come with all the hardware. The brackets screw in. We'll go through it, but the brackets screw into the bottom here, and they line up with the brackets that are on your motherboard. So we got the hardware for, okay, we got the fans, then we got the brackets. Okay, yeah, looks like everything is here. And we're, like I said before, we're going to install this on my Ryzen 9 7900X and test it there. So this will be an installation guide for AM5 and AM4 because they both use the same coolers. So sometimes it can be a pain to try and mount all your fans and the radiator at the same time, because you have to go through the back, put the screw through, mount the fan, and then that screw is going to mount into the radiator. And so you're trying to line up all these items at once and screw it in. What I recommend doing is getting an actual couple, is it in the screen? Yeah, there. Taking a, like per fan, getting a couple fan screws for each fan, mounting the fans on first, then you can line that up with how the radiator is going to go. And then you can put, so you don't have to worry about fans falling off or anything like that. Then you can put the radiator on, mount the specific screws that are going to go through the back of the holes here into the fan and then into the radiator. Then you can unscrew these out of it. Everything's still going to be in place, and you can put the rest of the screws that are supposed to mount into the fans and the radiators all in at once. So you don't have to worry about trying to juggle everything. You're doing one thing at a time, and it's just going to stay together that much easier. They'll also allow you to play around once you get everything mounted with the once you have the fans up before you even get the radiator on, to get all the wires going where you want them to go. And then make sure when you're putting it on that the fans are pointing in the direction that you want airflow. So the way this is going, I'm going to have this is going to be intake and intake, and then the ones I have on the top and in the back, those are my outtake. So this is going to be like that, and the fan is going to push the air through the radiator. Now, as I mount these, I'm not putting them on overly tight because I'll probably be moving this around, trying to figure out the best position for the radiator so it fits without getting caught on anything. Okay, so all these fan cables just going to get tucked in behind. Same with this one that's down here for power. And I'll figure out what to do with them after we get the radiator, because that's going to hide a lot of this rat's nest. So these are going to be the screws that you need to mount through the fans into the radiator to hold it in place. So I'm just going to get a couple for now. Again, don't put these on too tight until the very end, because then you can actually adjust everything, have everything lined up to where you want it to be, and then you can tighten it. Kind of like that to go as high as possible to keep that up. Now I'm going to tighten it, but just snug, not super tight. Because this is definitely one thing you don't want to strip. Now, this is the fan splitter that is going to power all of the fans, and make sure you plugged this into the CPU fan. So you're going to have CPU fan, you're going to have your ARGB and it's going to connect to this pump head, and it's also going to have its own power for the pump right here. So those are the three different plugins that we're going to use. These two are specific just to the pump and the pump fans. The ARGB you can have a splitter. That ARGB can split from the front fan, like all your fans, along with. Now in the instructions, you just have to pick what socket you're using, and one side's Intel, the other side's AMD. It's actually looks quite simple to install. So I'm going to need to remove the existing brackets that are right here. I'm going to do it one at a time because the back plate does fall out. So I'm going to remove one bracket, and then I'm going to attach the risers, and then remove the other bracket, attach the risers, and then the bracket, there's going to be a bracket that fits onto the pump head, and it's going to screw on fairly simply, and then that is just going to mount on top of what you install here, and it's just going to screw in place. So let's get the components we need and start assembling. So everything for AM4 seems to be packaged in one little Ziploc bag. We're going to go in here and a screwdriver. Take the top one off first. There's no screw head or anything, so these are probably just going to get finger tightened. The black piece of rubber, that's the piece that's going to contact the motherboard. I just need to find the screws. To mount these brackets on, which I would say these ones in this bag right here. It's got the screws to mount the bracket on, and then it has these thumb screws that are used to attach it to the motherboard. Okay, so the easiest way to tell how you're supposed to mount the screws is that there's actually a little kind of indent into the metal plate for the screw head to fit in nice and flush. So based on the diagram, can they go either way? So it looks like it can go either way, but the way it's supposed to go is these are the two intake and outtake for the coolant, and the way the diagram is showing, this is going to go on either side. Now this is going to be hard to do one-handed in front of the camera. Screw head is going to be nice and flush with the bracket. If you hold this and use your thumb to kind of hold that plate into place, you can then insert the screw and line it up. There we go. Now is this the right size? Yep, it's going in there nice and easy. That's the right screw. So don't do these too tight. Do it snug that it holds in place. Then grab your other screw. Over tighten, because like what I just did there kind of stripped the screw. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this method of putting these brackets on. So based on the diagram, it's going to go here and here is where the screw holes, and same with here and here for the screw hole. So we're going to get that. Come on, get on there. There we go, mounted, and everything looks like it's lined up perfectly. The only last thing to do is connect the pump and the ARGB. So unless you want to use the pump controller, I'm going to connect mine right to the motherboard, and I need to use this cable right here. It's funny because it's actually labeled, so you got your Gigabyte plug-in and you got your ASRock, Asus, MSI plug-in. So I'm going to be using Gigabyte. It's a Gigabyte board, and then this piece right here is what's going to connect into this one right here with the little wings on it. And then this is going to connect to, well, for starters, they got these mislabeled. So this one right here with the groove in the back and the 3 pins not the one with the little clips on the side, is going to go here into your pump header. On here is called CPU OPT, and that is the pump power. And this one is for the RGB. So this is going to connect. I think they got this mixed up because there's no. I think they got some of these labels mixed up because the 3-pin right here with the space in the middle is going to plug into right here. Push you on. This I'm just going to feed and through back. Same with this. I'm going to feed it this way so it just kind of blends in with those cables. And the only thing left to do is turn it on and see if it works. So this is what it looks like being installed in my 5000D, and I do have the fans on the opposite side of the radiator pushing the air through, depending on how you want it to look or whatever you want to do. It could be on that side, it could be on this side, pulling air through, but I wanted it to push, the fans pushing the air through, and I wanted to use the fans that came with the cooler so that it could be as accurate as possible as far as what kind of temperatures that you're going to get with this AIO. Now, right now we're just idling. It's hitting around 36.1. Every once in a while it jumps up to 42, but we're sitting at pretty much 36.1 degrees, and you really can't notice any sound over what the case fans are making. It's probably running at around 35% or so capacity. So I'm just gonna click on Cinebench so everything starts ramping up so you can see how loud it actually gets under full load. I'll see how well my phone picks up the sound. Alright, so automatically we've spiked up to over 80 degrees. So we are at 100%. The fans are operating at 100%. Now, to make it, again, as accurate as possible, I have the case panels all closed off. So this is what it would sound like if it was sitting right next to your head or on your desk. So, enclosed, it muffles the noise pretty good. It's not too loud. I'll go take the panel off and then you can see how loud it is without the panel on. Okay, now we go. This is without the panel on, and it did jump, a few decibels. I don't have a decibel meter, so I can't tell you the exact decibel reading, but this is it. So here's a picture of the fan curve that I'm using in the on this Gigabyte with my 7900X. It goes from 25% fan speed at 20 degrees all the way up to 100% at 70 degrees and beyond. And currently at idle, it's kind of flip-flopping around, but it seems to be hitting around 35 degrees. Alright, so we're about 40 minutes into running Cinebench R23, so all the coolant in the AIO should be nice and hot by now, so we should be getting a fairly stable temperature. And at one point it did spike around 91.5 on die number 2, but it has settled in around 88.5 degrees and pretty much holds that temperature pretty steady around 88.5, 88, 89 degrees. So it is keeping it several degrees below the thermal throttle limit of this CPU, which is 95 degrees. So it's doing a fairly good job keeping it below that because we are running it at max, all cores at the max boost that it can do for all cores. And this is also pretty comparable to what I saw on my MSI Mag Core Liquid 360R V2. It was getting just below 90 degrees as well. So both are pretty comparable. Now, again, this is max load, so it's not your standard day-to-day temperature you should expect. So we're going to go and try it in gaming and see what kind of temperatures we get there. So now on to gaming temps. This is Fortnite. I have it running at about 1080p. We're seeing around 40% CPU utilization and hitting between 57 and 61 degrees Celsius pretty much on average. That's the band that it stayed within. I tried it on Halo. Halo had an even lower CPU utilization with roughly the same temperature. So this is roughly what you could expect to get for a temperature while gaming using this AIO. Anyway, if you found this video helpful or informative, please subscribe to the channel, like the video. If you have any questions, leave it in the description or leave it in the comments down below. And have a good one, everyone.